One of the most important, if not the most important part or factors in Google Ads is having a successful search campaign. It's the basis, it's the foundation of what we're trying to do within Google Ads. So in today's video, I want to show you the structure that I use and the reasoning behind it. We want to make sure that we've got a good foundation, a good structure that we can build upon, whether that's looking to scale your account or potentially if you're looking to add another product like a PMax or a demand gen, then by having a good search campaign, that will give you the good structure that you want to be able to do this. Now, we need to realize that with e-commerce or lead generation, you're still going to want a good search campaign, and probably between 50 to 80% of your budget, the chances are still going to be allocated to a search. So searches are the most expensive, but a majority of advertisers are going to use it. So a lot of competition, but we have the most control. And if we can get a search campaign working, the chances are that as you scale your Google Ads or add other products, then they too are going to be successful. So remember, having a good foundation, a good search campaign gives you the chance to explore a number of different platforms within Google that you can expand what you're trying to do, whether it be lead generation or e-commerce. So in today's video, I'm going to show you step by step how I build a campaign and the reasonings to why. Now, a little caveat to this is I recently created a video around AI using ChatGPT. So why not take the data from that video a few days ago? Let's bring it over to this campaign and let's build out the structure of the search campaign based around the data that I've just created using the previous video. So let's get the headlines and descriptions and see how I can use ChatGPT AI as an assistant, not to do all of my work, but to do some of my work. And then from there, we can start to have an understanding on how we can implement AI into our search campaign to give us better headlines and descriptions, to give us more clicks, more impressions, better CTR, click-through rate, and potentially more conversions for our campaign. So let's jump in. So for the example today, we're going to use IH Flooring. This is the company I used in the previous video that I mentioned, using AI to build headlines and descriptions. So we're just going to follow on from there. This is a local flooring company and they're based in Bristol, Bath and surrounding areas. So we're going to jump into the Google dashboard. We're going to click on the plus button, start a new campaign. And then from here, we're going to start the creation. So for this example, it's going to be leads, is going to be the objective that we're looking for. Obviously, if you're e-commerce, it's going to be sales. So we're going to click on leads. Conversion tracking, this obviously needs to be set up either through Google Tag or Tag Manager. If you're new to Google Ads and you're starting out a campaign, jump on with Google support. They're very good at getting on board with you to get the tracking sorted through Google Tag Manager. So they'll guide you through how or what you need to do to set up your tracking. But also for this, you need obviously access to your Google Ad account as well as your website or landing page to implement some tracking code for the tracking to be working correctly. Here, search is what we want to do. What goal we would like, we're going to leave this blank for this. Click on continue, and then obviously a naming convention. So for this, we're just going to call it wood floor, and then just press continue. Now, bidding is one of the most important things to get right with Google. So with a new campaign, I would start with a CPC, max CPC strategy, or for lead generation, or I would start with a max clicks strategy. Now, what I'm saying to Google by doing a max clicks is I want as many clicks as possible to come to the campaign, and then from there I'll optimize it. So remember, we're looking at the keyword planner. We're looking at the average CPC based upon the keywords that we're going to be using for the campaign. And if we're seeing the market is very competitive and the CPCs are very, very high, I've run a lot of campaigns in Australia for plumbers and electricians, and the CPCs there are very high, 40, 50 per cost per click. So what we needed to do there, I couldn't run this strategy. I had to go with a max CPC strategy, and then I had to choose the words based on the budget. So obviously we don't want an average CPC of say $30 and have a budget of 30 a day, because then you only get one click per day. We want at least 10 clicks a day. So we've got to think of the maths based upon what we're trying to achieve with the bidding strategy. So for this campaign, click strategy, absolutely fine. We're not going to bid for new customers. And then from here, coming to network. So I'm going to untick both of these. I don't normally start with these. These can be very, very spammy. So again, if you're seeing a lot of spam, then you can potentially turn these off if you've got them on. They can be very, very spammy. and not something that I recommend to start off with a Google Ads campaign. You can test them if you've got a mature account to see if it will give you a little bit more volume, but it's not something that I'm a big fan of myself. So location, again, for this, we are looking at the Bristol area. So what I'm going to do is 20 miles around Bristol. So if I let's put in the area, and then we can see here we've got Bristol. Now, with the radiuses, obviously, this is what we're saying to Google to target. What I like to also do is once I've got that area, is I like to go to locations and then add in the actual, a little bit more detail, but actually start clicking in the postcode. So what it does, this will start, you'll see, we're starting to see some postcodes popping up. And what this does is, as we're tracking, getting clicks, impressions, conversions, we can start to see exactly what areas are converting. And again, this is for a local service business. If you're doing this on a national basis, say you're doing it for United Kingdom or United States, you can break these down. For UK, it could be down to counties. United States is going to be states. You break that down to states, or depending on what you're looking to achieve by adding in this extra bit of data. But we want to get as much data as possible. So rather than just targeting an area, we're still going to target the area, but we're going to get some more detail. So if we've seen, say, BS4 and BS31 are doing particularly well, we can make the bid adjustment here a little bit more aggressive. So we can add a +10, +20% here to make it more aggressive. And subsequently, if, say, BS14 is getting lots of clicks and impressions but not converting, we can make sure that Google doesn't target that particular postcode. So again, it's just keeping it really granular, making sure that we're collecting as much data as possible. And that's the object of the exercise. We want to collect as much data as possible. So again, I build this out to the 20-mile area or whatever we're targeting. So adding as many postcodes as we can to the targeting. So the other thing that we need to be doing, which is very, very important, is make sure presence or interest is clicked on. The bottom setting is clicked. So presence or interest, people in or regular who have shown interest in included locations. So that's the key. They've shown interest in the topic that we're looking to advertise. We don't want that. We want to make sure that our ads are being targeted by the right people. And by clicking on this setting below, then we're going to make sure that they're staying relevant, and we're not going to be showing outside of the area that we're targeting. And it's more higher probability of us actually achieving what we want to do based on what we want to, based on this particular setting. Now, with a PMAX campaign, a little extra, you can't do this as you're building out the campaign. You have to launch a PMAX campaign, then come into the PMAX and then change this setting. Again, it's just one of those things. It's one of Google's little default settings that I don't agree with, but you just got to work with it. Language, English, and again, as we come down, we're not going to be creating any ads. I do not plan to run ads. Nope, that's the latest thing that they're running. Audience segments, we don't need to do anything there. So what we want to do now is just click on the next button. AI Max, started testing this, mixed results. Okay, I wouldn't recommend it at the moment. Whenever Google brings out a new product, I always stay clear of probably for 6-9 months, let other advertisers spend money, test a little bit of budget, but it takes Google probably 6 to 9 months before they kind of can get things up and running. And it happened with PMax, Demand Gen, and again with AI Max, which is one of their later products now. I would test it with a small budget if you're happy to lose it, but that's all we're doing with it, and see how the results fare. But they can be a little bit mixed at the moment. But like I said, give it time, and then potentially we can use that at a later date. I'm not going to use this now. You can see it's still in beta phase. Come to next. We can put in the URL of the company, and then from here, Google will generate headlines. I don't want to do that. Skip. And then what we want to do is now create the actual headlines and descriptions based about what we want to achieve. So if we are looking to create the actual ads, what we want to do is come to the actual website of the landing page and decide what URL we're actually going to be targeting. So for this, I'm just going to target the general website, and then I'm going to build an ad group based around there, so I can show you how you can start building out the ad group. So we're going to focus on, for this, we're going to focus on wood flooring. So for this, what we want to do is make sure we've got the URL. We'll copy that, and then I've built out a campaign already, only because just for spending time putting in headlines and descriptions, I just wanted to show you exactly what we would do for the actual ads themselves. So if we come into the ads, and then from here, we can actually see what I've created. So let's put in, so this is for wood flooring. The display path what it shows is IH flooring, and then it will show wood flooring after that. Once this loads here on the right, you should see the display path that it shows, which is quite good. Here we go. So IH flooring and then wood flooring. Now, what I've done is start to build out the campaign. So one thing we need to do when we build out the headlines and the descriptions, make sure it's relevant to the page. So what we want to achieve here is IH Flooring is the company. Always put the company name in. It's free advertising. Why wouldn't you do it? And then what we want to try and do is put in different headlines based upon what we've mentioned previously. So let's come back to the document that I've mentioned. So with this document, we can see here, I've built out some headlines and I've got a subset here ready to go. So the main headlines, what I've done is quality floor installed. I've put in different headlines, but I've also put some notes. So each headline means something different. So think of, not everyone's the same. So if somebody sees a certain headline, it will resonate with some people, but it won't with others. But by showing different headlines and different descriptions, it's going to resonate with different types of people. And that's what we're trying to do. So here, I've just put in some notes. Quality floor installed, core service and benefit. Okay, we'll have that. Local flooring, it's local. Strong local reliance, or relevance rather. So again, we want that in. That's very different to the first headline. The next, free quotes and home visits, incentive and trust builder. Again, it's very different. Expert fitters you can trust, credibility and peace of mind. Beautiful floors, emotional. Durable floors that last, long-term quality, over 25 years experience, social proof. You can see. So when you're building out the headlines, do different things. Don't just have 10 benefits. It's just like, why would you do that? Why would you not just focus on different things? And then as you get the data, you can start to see what's working well, and you can do more of that. But at the moment, what we're doing, especially if we're starting out in Google Ads, you're just building out headlines and descriptions. What you want to do is have slightly different variants to the headlines, because somebody will see your ad and they might like the fact that it says, over 25 years experience. These guys must know what they're doing. Okay, we'll click on that. Somebody else may see the ad and go, oh, expert fitters or free quotes and home visits. Oh, I like that. Well, let's do that. You can start to understand then why people start to click on your ad based on the variants you have in the headlines. Descriptions, exactly the same. So again, I put get expert fitted wood vinyl carpet floors that transform your home. Okay, a bit more varied. Core value and transformation. Local floor, again, we're going back to the local thing. Local flooring experts offering free quotes and a hassle-free installation. Main CTA and trust signal. So again, we can do exactly the same we're doing for the headlines. We can do it in the descriptions, but obviously you want them to be between 75 and 90 characters long. And these are the ones that we created in the chat GPT based on what we were asking. But we can also then, as we build this out, we can then start building more into this based on the website that we can actually see that potentially could be of a benefit to our campaign. So if we come back to the actual headlines that we're building out, you can see now we're starting to build out a nice selection, and we've got some descriptions. So you need at least 2 descriptions and 3 headlines to get the ads up and running. Now we've got something here called dynamic keyword insertion. And what this does, I want to show you a document that I've created. So dynamic keyword insertion, it basically is a feature that automatically updates your ad text to include the exact and trigger that triggered your ad, making your ad more relevant. So it's a bit of a hack, a bit of a shortcut, but it's so powerful that by adding in a dynamic keyword insertion, you will match what somebody's searching for to give you more relevance. So look, as an example, suppose your ad headline is written flooring today. So this is dynamic keywords insertion, buy flooring today. If somebody searches for wood flooring, your ad might say buy wood flooring today. If somebody searches for vinyl flooring, your ad might say buy vinyl flooring today. So you can see how it dynamically changes based on what people are searching, which makes it more relevant. So why wouldn't you include that? And it's one of those things in Google that it's been out for a while. A lot of advertisers use it, and it's a fantastic feature that can really make your ads relevant. And it's something that you should be using. So if Google can't insert the keyword or it's too long, it uses a default. So in this case, it would be flooring. So why is it useful? I'll put a little summary here. So the user sees exactly what search term is looking, boosting CTR. Efficiency, one ad can cover many keywords. Well, why wouldn't you do that? So sometimes if you wanted to just have 10 headlines rather than the 15, then by adding dynamic keyword insertion, you're covering that. Quality score can improve because of ad relevancy. Again, it's a benefit, it's a benefit, a benefit. There's no, with Google, if there's more upside than downside, why wouldn't you do it? Why would you not test this and have it in to give your ads more relevancy. So this is such a powerful feature. So again, let's jump back into the ads. So from here, we've got some descriptions. Again, I've put in some dynamic keyword insertion. So remember, as people are searching, they're going to be seeing ads that are relevant for their searches, which is going to give you as an advertiser higher click-through rate, more conversions, and just boost overall performance of your Google ads based on this. So to do this, what we need to do is, I'll just do this with carpet. If we take the word carpet, what we need to do is you put the brace, keyword insertion, put it as a title case, and then just put in the word there, and then just apply it. And that's all you need to do. And again, if you're adding in, say, an area, let's see if we put in, say, Bristol. So if we would put the brace, you can do this again with an area. So if it was, say, for this example, Bristol, and then you would apply it. And then this is a dynamic keywords insertion for the area. So if people are searching for the area, again, it will do the same thing. So I've got this wood flooring, dynamic keyword insertion included. And then I've done this and I've done this for the Bristol. So if people are searching in Bath, then it will dynamically change for that area that they're searching for. Now, how powerful that is that? So that one headline potentially could have 5, 10, 15 different variants just by doing one thing. So straight away, making it relevant. Powerful feature, which is very underutilized. Not a lot of people know how to use this correctly. And this is what makes the difference. This will give you the extra 5, 6, 7% that you need to make a campaign extremely successful. So what we want to do then is, like I said, build out the headlines, add dynamic keyword insertion to the headlines and the area that you're targeting. And then from there, we can actually then launch that. So let me save this. Now what we want to do, we've got this main core built out. So what we want to do now is if I want to create a duplicate of this, what I want to do is, sorry, let me come to the ad groups. It's the ad group that I want to focus on. So if you want to create a second ad group, what we want to do now is click copy, and then from here, just paste. And what we want to do now is create another ad group based around, let's paste that in. And this will take a second to run in the background. That's absolutely fine. So if we come back to our actual main page, we've just covered the wood side of this actual page. So the next subheading that we could potentially focus on would be the LVT. So LVT, I've already built this out. So we've done some research based around this. And then what we want to do is now create a second ad group within the campaign based around LVT flooring from IH flooring. So from here, we can show that luxury vinyl tiling. So what I've done is in the actual main copy, we've got headlines and I've got some descriptions. And again, we've got some keywords, which I'm going to come on to in a second. So headlines, we're going to build this out. I'm just going to put 3 headlines, just put in 2 descriptions, and then we're going to build out the actual keywords that we're going to target for this. So if I jump back into the main campaign, we've got the second. So what we will do now is just change this to LVT. And again, we will click into this, which will come to the actual ads themselves. And then we're going to make those changes for the ads. So let's click in. So come back in. And then what we want to do now is based off of what we have from the original. So this is just copied the original. So some of the stuff we can leave. So flooring specialist, the name of the company, family run business, we can leave all of that. But what we can start doing is anything that was relevant for the flooring, we can take that out. So rather than having flooring service, we could potentially put in luxury vinyl flooring. We could input this as another headline, and then we can start building this out to make it more relevant. So let's just build this out at the bottom. But what we're trying to do is make it relevant. So potentially what we want to do is put this in as a dynamic keyword insertion. So again, we're going to put that in, and then we're going to do the same, add it in, apply. And then again, as we build out the keywords that we're targeting, that will then change to make it more relevant. So we would make this we would update this based on the LVT that we have here, headlines and descriptions. Now, what I want to do is come into the actual targeting itself. So if we come into the targeting, let's come out of here. I want to explain to you that if we're going to target, say, wood flooring for the keywords, what we want to do is make sure that the keywords that we're targeting are based on the ad group that we've just created. So for us, we've got a couple of broad terms too broad, and then I've added in some exact. So the reason that I structure it in this way is that we want to give the campaign broad to give us the volume. We control that by having negative keywords. And then on top of that, what we want to do is add in terms that are triggering based on the search terms report, and then we add those in as exact. Now we do this with both the ad groups. So this particular group is all about floor fitters, floor installation, flooring service in Bristol. So we're giving it the volume through broad, and like I said, we're controlling it by adding in exact terms. And again, we do this with the other ad group. So for the LVT, what we would do, let's get rid of all of these because I've duplicated it. What I would do is take all these out, and then what I would do is add in, we'll just do one as an example. So potentially we would add in the one, add it in as a broad, and then just start building these out based on the keyword research. We would save this, and then Google will target the keyword based around LVT flooring Bristol. Now, the reason that I build out the campaigns with a combination of broad and exact is because if we're looking to scale, what we need to understand is with scaling, we want to make sure, I just want to come back to, I've got this document set up. So if we're going to create a PMAX campaign and add on a PMAX, so we've scaled, we've got high search impressions, our CPCs are high, so we need to open up another product within Google. If we open up a PMAX campaign, what happens is that the search terms, the broad will be more, the Performance Max will take priority over the search campaign for the broad terms. That's why we start with the search and then we go with the PMAX campaign. With the exact terms, they'll stay more focused on the search campaign. So the relevancy, the exact will stay with the search campaign. The broad terms, the relevancy will go with the PMAX campaign. And that's the reason that I build the campaigns the way I do, to make sure that they have a good structure. And we're always having this structure because always thinking, can we then scale the campaigns? This structure is the best for 2025. And this goes the same for e-commerce as well. You want to have broad and a mixture of exact terms. We don't bother with phrase because broad gives us more, it uses Google's AI, the signals. It looks at people's landing page experience. It looks at the keywords that we're firing for the exact. It looks at 5 to 6 more signals than anything else within Google. So that's phrase and exact. But the exact tells us exactly what has triggered the ad. So broad, if you add a PMAX campaign, the priority will go to a PMAX. You can still have broad, but the priority at the auction will go to a PMAX campaign, and the priority will go to a search campaign. So that's why I structure based on best practices. And this is the best way to structure a search campaign in 2025. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any comments, let me know. It's gone on for quite a long video, but I wanted to get as much detail in as possible. And remember, dynamic keyword insertion is such a fantastic way to make sure that you're staying relevant for your ads that you're running for your search campaigns. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. If you want me to audit your account, then click on the link below. I love looking at other people's accounts. And there's always ways you can improve your Google Ad account, whether it's e-commerce or lead generation. But this is how I stay relevant. This is what I'm doing that's working right now. And this is the best setup to get your ads scaling if you're looking to not only scale your ads, but also to start adding in new products like a Performance Max or a Demand Gen.